gentlemen, welcome to the Big Pro WrestleTalk podcast with your host, Vincent Zarndt. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of what I like to call the Big Pro WrestleTalk podcast. I am your host, Vincent Zarndt here. This is the first episode of this podcast that I shall hope to continue after this first episode. And to begin this episode today, I'd like to talk about kind of what got me into wrestling, I guess you could say, because a lot of people have their stories and stuff like, oh yeah, I saw Razor Ramon, I saw Hogan, and like all that other stuff. But no, I started watching right towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression era at like 6 years old. And even since then, like that kind of really carried on with me. And here I am, I'm only 18, almost 19-year-old in college, my freshman year of college. And I decided to do this podcast because I really have nothing better to do with my life. And yeah, here I am. So yeah, I really, like I said, I started watching wrestling when I was like, I said 6. Let me see, it's 2021 right now. I started watching around like late 2008, I guess you could say, like early to that, like mid 2008 is what I'd say. I started watching it that summer. I remember I saw a match with Jeff Hardy, and I just like, oh my gosh, like Jeff Hardy is my Hogan, my Razor Ramon, my Macho Man, any of those kind of guys. But yeah, that's really the guy who got me into it all. Like I saw his face paint, I saw him with his cool armbands, I saw like he had this colorful thing going for him. And it just blew my mind and how cool it was that there was a wrestler who could be like that. And especially because, like, I don't remember what year it was exactly, but I was scrolling on, like, YouTube, like, early YouTube one year, and I saw, like, clips of, like, Jeff Hardy. Like, 'cause this is when I was, I was a curious young man, I guess you could say, when it came to pro wrestling. So I really looked up Jeff Hardy stuff, like, even I always remember this because this is something that would always happen when I type, because I never typed in WWE when I typed in when I was looking up for the clips and stuff on YouTube. I looked up Jeff Hardy and it would always come up Jeff Dunham first thing on the first bar, and Jeff Hardy would be at like the very bottom one, and I'd always like not even click the bottom one, like the bottom suggestion. I'd always just type in Jeff Hardy because I was like, dang, if he's not going to be number one on my search list, then why? I don't know. It was just a process, I guess. But yeah, I saw I watched his swanton off the scaffold, and that was like, oh my gosh, I love this dude. Like, oh my gosh, this man Jeff Hardy's insane. And then little did I know there was much more history behind him, behind the entire pro wrestling industry. And here I am, an 18, almost 19-year-old guy and kid in college, I guess you could say. And now literally everything I do. What a time to be a pro wrestling fan. Like, if I'm being honest, what a time to be a professional wrestling fan right now, because we have guys like Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. We have AEW. That is basically what I'm saying. We have All Elite Wrestling in the mix right now. And it's insane right now. Like, thinking about it, like, oh my gosh, like, this must have been, like, not entirely how people felt during the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era was much different. Yeah, there was a rival company, but AEW doesn't, they say they don't want a rival, but come on now, we know they are. But they're not challenging WWE, I guess you could say. They kind of did with NXT, no doubt, with the Wednesday Night War, but WWE never acknowledged it really on screen anyway. But there's like a lot of backstage talk, I'm sure. But looking at what it's become, like this company started 2019, I want to say. Because I know it was before the pandemic. I think it was announced on New Year's Eve of 2018. I don't remember for sure off the top of my head right now, but it's just insane. What a time to be a pro wrestling fan. Like, it's something that I personally, as a wrestling fan, never thought would happen, because before AEW, I was all like WWE. Like, I watched New Japan and Ring of Honor stuff from time to time. I'm very happy that Impact TNA got back on the map because, I'd say since the Hardys left in, 2016? Like late 2016, early 2017? I don't even remember. See, that's how long ago it was since I've watched TNA or Impact. But it's just weird to think that that was the last time I watched TNA was when the Hardys were there and they were doing the broken stuff. Like, they were doing the little vignettes of like winning the tag titles of like different indie promotions and all that. And that was pretty cool. I will give that to Matt Hardy. He basically ran Impact and all that stuff. Like, I know there's like all the executives and all that, but he really had a lot to say about, like, he had a lot of say in it, and that was pretty cool. Because Matt Hardy, he can really think of anything gimmick-wise, and it'd be cool. Like, I think of the broken gimmick. He tried to revive the broken gimmick, but I don't want to say WWE ruined it, because WWE, they did their best with it. Like, Vince McMahon just didn't understand it, but shoot, us as wrestling fans, we loved it. We loved watching Matt Hardy do his, yes, wonderful, King Maxwell, Senor Benjamin. We loved all that stuff, but I don't know what, it just didn't click in the Vince McMahon world of WWE sports entertainment, not even pro wrestling. But I understand where they're coming from. Like, I was watching the Stone Cold podcast from like 2014 or 15 with Vince McMahon, and they talked about Punk and stuff. And it was actually a really good, like if I sat down and listened to it, like a lot of the stuff, like Vince McMahon, he said how he would love to work with CM Punk again. I don't know how that would work today, considering what's been going on, but I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. For all we know, like, maybe WWE will one day recognize AEW on screen. Maybe we'll get that WCW, ECW heat type stuff, like, on WWE television again, like we saw back in the Attitude Era. Like, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I was born literally like a year after the Attitude Era, kind of. I don't want to say it ended, because I was born late 2002, and it's like, it was a great time, I'm sure, to be a pro wrestling fan. But it must have been cool. I don't know. It's just really getting me thinking right now. Like, what time? Like, what would have been? Like, that's got to be a future episode. What would I think? Like, I'm gonna probably do an episode in the future here, based on like what I would do as a wrestling fan during the Attitude Era and stuff. Because like, it was either you were WCW or WWF. There was no in between. I mean, I'm sure there was. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, because like I said, I wasn't born yet. It's just crazy to think that I wasn't born yet, and I have a lot of knowledge of the stuff, It's quite insane. Like, I sit here right now, a college freshman, like I said, and I've had this idea for the podcast like so long ago. I was going to do this like last year when the pandemic started, but then I just kind of was hit with like, oh crap, we're in a pandemic, and I'm just like, oh, gotta do more work on top of that, because I was a senior in high school, like, when all this, because it didn't, like, it started like early 2020 when I was a junior in high school, but now here I am as a college freshman, and things are kind of opening up. Like, I still have to wear masks in the building, but that's no big deal. I'm not even going to talk about that. This is about pro wrestling and pro wrestling strictly, but I finally decided, literally, while I was watching AEW, I want to say. It was either AEW, I was watching Dynamite or Raw this past Monday or Wednesday, I don't even remember, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Let me pull out my phone, and I'm going to make a graphic. And then I posted it on my main Instagram, and then I also then I decided, you know what? If I really want to go through with this, I got to make it my own, I got to really make, like, my own, like, information-based, like, podcast-based social media for myself, so I get the name out there and all that. Now I'm getting all these bots saying, hey, you should promote your podcast with this, and then it's like, oh yeah, give me money and I'll do that for you. I'm just like, man, I'm a freshman in high school. I'm a broke freshman. I'm a broke college kid. Like, come on now, I can't be doing that. So, yeah, I'm very happy for what is going to be happening here in the future. I just want to thank you guys if you're tuning in right now, listening on YouTube, which is the only platform I'm on, by the way, because Spotify is probably too much work for me. I'm sure it's probably the easiest thing ever, but I really just don't want to upload to multiple platforms. I really just want to stay to one, because I've been doing YouTube like my entire life. Throughout high school, me and my friends would do these little sketches called The Steve Bernstein Show. It's actually on YouTube still if you wanted to find it. I'm not going to tag it or nothing because it's not pro wrestling related, but yeah, this is the main platform. This is the main platform I want to stay on. So, yeah. And so now we're going to take a little small 5-minute break here. Probably get some quote, like I'm holding up air quotes right now, advertisements, because I don't really have advertisements or whatever it is. So I'm just probably going to make up some stuff, a little funny stuff to put in there. So, yeah. Let's do that now. We'll be back in like not even 2-ish minutes. Probably going to be like a minute. Not even like 30 seconds. So, yeah, see you in a few seconds here. All right, this is future Vincent here saying that you should go follow me. Follow this podcast on Instagram with the @ being BPWT_podcast. All the information that's going to be coming out about this specific podcast and all future podcasts will be on that page. Feel free to follow that page right now so you can never miss an episode of the Big Pro WrestleTalk podcast. All right, we are back here now, ladies and gentlemen. And before I'll move on to the next subject or next topic, and I want to give a quick shout out to the Coming Down the Aisle podcast. Go ahead and make sure you follow him on Instagram. That dude has amazing podcasts, amazing content. This guy is a great source for your pro wrestling podcast needs, I guess you could say. But yeah, big huge shout out to him. Thank you very much if you are tuning in right now to him. So yeah, next what I want to talk about here is what a time it is to be a professional wrestling fan. Like I said towards the beginning here, I was saying, like, it's amazing to me how we have a company like AEW around right now who, like, I don't want to say WWE doesn't listen to the fans. Like, yeah, they say they don't. They say they do. They really don't. We all know that. And with, like, I think the only thing they might have listened to us that was about was like Big E cashing in his Money in the Bank on Bobby Lashley to win the WWE title. Like, that was like pretty cool on WWE's part. Like, kudos to them. They did. That was fantastic, I think. Except I do wish they didn't announce it. They need to stop announcing things. It's like when they announced Edge for the Royal Rumble this past year. It would have been such an awesome surprise, and that just ruined, I think, to me, it ruined the magic, and that's what I like about AEW. AEW, like, when it comes to WWE, you got to think, because WWE is very predictable nowadays, and it's very unfortunate that that happens with WWE. And with AEW, like, yeah, there are the things that you can kind of predict, like, oh yeah, there's the here there factor of like, oh yeah, this is probably going to happen, and like, that's the thing, you say probably. When it comes to WWE, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. So that is not necessarily what you want in a pro wrestling company. Like, yeah, like, you want to have that shock factor. Like, that's what AEW does. They do the shock factor. Like, people knew, like, come on now, everybody knew that Bryan Danielson was going to potentially come to AEW. Was going to go to AEW. We didn't know when. Punk did give us that hint that, like, hey, soon, you got to be a little more patient for that, ha ha ha. And they got us with Adam Cole too. Like, yeah, Adam Cole probably didn't even know. I know there were like reports of like what he said and stuff, but I can't think of what he said off the top of my head. I don't really have notes or anything. This is all on the fly type stuff right here. So with Adam Cole being in AEW, that was a huge shock to all of us. This is like AEW's gotcha, except like not like a prank gotcha, but it's like, hey, we got you. You know, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, Adam Cole. I'm just thinking about all these guys. Like, people are getting so upset because AEW signing all these ex-WWE guys. It's like, say, a McDonald's employee was fired and then they go work at Burger King or something, you know? It's not that big of a deal. It's a person's job, and they're entertaining us. So I don't really understand. Like, yeah, they probably do use the ex-WWE talent. Well, they use them quite often, like Miro currently being the TNT champion, and formerly known as Rusev being the TNT champion. Even though I do think Sammy Guevara is going to beat him. Like, that's another thing. The maybe factor, like, probably, like I said, Miro is facing Sammy Guevara. Did I say Sami Zayn? I don't even remember what I said. Sammy Guevara. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. So, like I said, Miro is facing Sammy Guevara this Wednesday for the TNT title, and I think Sammy Guevara is going to win. See, there's that probably factor, but like, there's always with AEW, they can shock us like that, you know, like, hey, they got us, you know. But yeah, I think so far things have been great for AEW for like the 3-ish years that they've been around. They've been kicking butt, doing this, that, and the other. Like, there is no reason for them to ever stop. Like, I don't want to say, that this is the biggest thing. AEW is not WWE in the slightest, and that's where a lot of people are like, oh yeah, these guys are trying to be WWE too, but actually do the wrestling and stuff. Like, who cares? They're doing this for us as the fans. See, that's one thing you got to know about me as a pro wrestling fan. I will be the most heel pro wrestling fan out there because I will be like, hey, I like that when everybody hated it. Like, when Bianca Belair lost the SmackDown Women's title to Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, I was like, that was cool. You know, I liked the way they did it. And honestly, like, yeah, they may have done Bianca dirty, but like, hey, that was a great way, I guess you could say, to turn Becky Lynch heel. Even though, like, yeah, she's playing that heel persona, but people still love her. Come on now. She's the man, darn it. Like, come on now. There's no reason why, like, people, like, yeah, I understand, like, people have, like, the reasons and stuff, but, like, for me, there's no reason to get mad at what they do because it's like, hey, it's their show, it's their product, let them do what they want to do. They're doing something. Everything happens in pro wrestling for a reason, whether it be, like when Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker's streak. No, still, I think the only person who knows, the only two people who knew what the heck was going on was Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, except with The Undertaker, like, getting hurt in that match at WrestleMania 30. I'm sure Brock Lesnar was like, all right, we gotta roll the audible here. We gotta do something. And I think Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker really, established Brock Lesnar as the beast, I guess you could say, because it was right after that he really started to get huger, like, not like physically. I mean, I guess you could say physically because the steroids and stuff, but hey, who cares? Like, you know, he's a monster. I'll say that Brock Lesnar's a beast, but AEW, like, I think of, like, when AEW, like, there was, like, the rumors of Brock Lesnar going to AEW, and just thinking about, like, that could have happened, you know? Like, sorry, I'm having a nice Pepsi Zero right now. So, yeah, like, AEW, they sign all these ex-WWE guys, but they're just giving them a place to work. You know, like, and that's where, like, I love guys like Impact, New Japan, because they're also giving ex-WWE stars their opportunities that they deserve. Like, in Impact, seeing Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Formerly known as Zack Ryder, and Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins, like, dominating over there, like, I love seeing it. See, I've been a Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins fan for, let me see here, how long have I been watching? Because I started watching right when they got to WWE, I'd say, I think, right? No. Well, when they started not being the Major Brothers, like, it was a little bit after WrestleMania 24, I guess you could say I started watching, because I remember watching Armageddon 2008 when Jeff Hardy won the WWE title. Was that? Yeah, that was when it happened. But, yeah, like, I love seeing those guys get their opportunities. Like, who else is on there? Steve, whatever his name was, formerly Steve Cutler or whatever his name was. I don't even remember. He was in the Forgotten Sons or whatever they were called on SmackDown and NXT. Yeah, see, exactly, they were forgotten. I thought they could have been something great on SmackDown, but hey. There's a lot of opportunity out there in the pro wrestling world right now, And that's what's great about pro wrestling as a whole, is like Braun Strowman got fired. He's doing his stuff, like the narrative with EC3. That's coming on October 2nd on Fight. Not sponsored, by the way. I just wanted to say it. But yeah, just thinking about the unlimited opportunity there is for these ex-WWE guys to go to the other companies out there like AEW, Ring of Honor even. Like, I don't really watch Ring of Honor. Like, if you notice, like, I don't have Ring of Honor on, like, my logo or anything because I don't really watch it. Like, New Japan, I'll catch from time to time, and I'll see, like, the clips and stuff from, like, after shows, and I'll listen to the news reports and stuff that happen, like John Moxley and stuff. But that's what I love about AEW. AEW, I was actually watching the Bullet Club when Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny were in the Bullet Club. They did their Q&A on the BTE channel, the Being the Elite channel, and they talked about, like, yeah, dude, pro wrestling should be for everybody. Like, they should be opening doors to every company, you know? Like, that's what I love about AEW there. See, that's why everybody's like, oh, yeah, they're trying to be WWE because Vince McMahon tried to do the same thing, but, like, he didn't really try to do the same thing. He tried to get the wrestlers and then eventually took down their companies because they took all their guys and signed all of them to contracts. But, you know, hey, AEW is doing fantastic for themselves, and good for them. You know, good for them. Good for All Elite Wrestling. Good for Tony Khan. Good for Cody Rhodes, which, by the way, now that I segued into Cody Rhodes here, I just wanted to say that Cody Rhodes is quite honestly a fantastic character in AEW. Like, everybody hates him because, like, oh yeah, he's always winning. But the thing is, if a guy like him continues to win, he's building momentum up for himself, and also for the people who do beat him in the future, they will get that oh my gosh factor. You're like, oh my gosh, I beat Cody Rhodes and all that and stuff, you know? See, like in WWE, if Cody Rhodes had stayed in WWE as Stardust, like, yeah, none of this would have happened. Come on now. Like, you can say that that's just facts. That's just facts, you know? Cody Rhodes saying, F you, I'm out to WWE, really gave us that. Like, when he went to Ring of Honor and all that, like, it was pretty cool, you know? Like, it was like, oh my gosh, it's Cody, you know, like ex-WWE guy Cody. Like, he couldn't be Cody Rhodes because of copyright reasons for the name. And he didn't want to be Cody Runnels, as, like, his dad would be, you know, or not his dad, what the heck, not the plumber. But, you know, he's establishing himself, and that's another thing. When he has his matches with these guys who he beats, it's not like he puts on like 2-star match. I think Meltzer's crazy not giving him 5-star matches, because I'm thinking of his matches with like Malachi Black. Like, yeah, I understand he lost both of them, but like, they were bangers, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Sorry, I need to take a deep breath. I'm kind of getting heated for myself. But yeah, Cody he's a dominant, like, if he were to be AEW champion, I wouldn't mind. But the thing is, I know he can't because he didn't beat Jericho and stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, you can never wrestle for that title again and stuff like that. But if he were to even beat Miro for the TNT title, I wouldn't even be mad, because then it's like, okay, then he can use this to build another guy. Like, I'll say it, I don't think Darby Allin would be where he is right now if it wasn't for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes really gave him that boost. Like, Cody Rhodes putting him over for the title and stuff. Like, even though Cody may win these matches, he still puts over the guys he wrestles. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, I understand. Like, Cody Rhodes, he always wins. Like, that's what, like everybody's like, oh, he's just being John Cena and stuff. Like, oh, yeah. You know, like, no, he is not being John Cena. John Cena was just winning because it was written in a script that, hey, John Cena wins. And then he just kept winning and kept winning. See, that's the thing. Cody Rhodes does not always win. Like we see with guys like Darby Allin, like Malachi Black. You know, it's just, sorry. It's not, he's not a terrible wrestler. Like, his character's fantastic. I love what they're doing with Cody Rhodes and AEW. I love what AEW is doing as a whole. But the only thing I don't like, and get ready to turn off the podcast because you're going to get mad at me for saying this, stop putting CM Punk on the show every week. It needs to be special for him to show up on the show. Like, Like, I see him, he's always like they always say that, oh yeah, CM Punk's gonna be out here to do a promo and stuff like that. And see, they gotta stop doing that. Like, make it feel special when Punk shows up. Because now it's just like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. Like, it's literally the same segment every week. Punk cuts a promo on some guy. Like, yeah, everybody was excited to see Punk back. I was one of them, dude. I crapped my pants. It was my first Friday night in my college, and I'm from the Chicagoland area, and I could have gone to Rampage if I wanted to that night, but I didn't. My brother was actually there. He said he had a lot of fun. Him and his friends went. But CM Punk, they need to stop shoving CM Punk down our throats. There, I said it. See, like, yeah, I understand, like, a guy like CM Punk he's views, I understand. Like, but I feel like that's Tony Khan, like how people say WWE is like with their Usos, with the Bloodline versus New Day match this past Monday on Raw. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we're asking for attention. It's like, no, they're not begging people to watch. They're just like, yeah, let's put out some good content for people to want to watch, you know? You see, in AEW, they're trying too hard, I guess you could say, because anybody will watch AEW now. So like, once they got Adam Cole and Danielson, like, I think that was like, all right, these guys, like, we'll watch these guys every week. Like, yeah, Punk was kind of the tip of, like, he was like, all right, that's cool, let's see what they do with this. They kept putting him on the show every week, whether it's on Rampage or whether it's on Dynamite, sometimes on Dark even. The show that only like a couple thousand watch on YouTube, AEW Dark, you know, like, I don't understand it. Maybe that's just me. That's just how I view it. If I'm being honest, I watched Rampage last night. Like, yeah, him and Powerhouse Hobbs had a great match. I don't think Punk should have won that match. There, I said it. I think that Ricky Starks or somebody should have. I mean, like, yeah, he should have won, but he did win, obviously. But I don't think he should have won clean. I think he should have won by Ricky Starks or maybe Hook, like DQing or something like that. I don't know. Or shoot, maybe even Taz comes in and he gives him his sleeper or whatever his submission was when he was in ECW and stuff. Hey, that's just what I'm saying, you know. Like, I know people are creating some controversy over that, but that's just what I think about that. Like, they just got to stop shoving Punk down our throats. You know, I'm very happy to see him back because I'm more happy than the next guy because now it's like, all right, cool. Now I can see CM Punk one day wrestle. Like, I don't know. That's just what I think about it, you know? Like, CM Punk is, I'll give him that. He is a once-in-a-lifetime performer. But, I don't know, like, maybe it's because I haven't seen him wrestle in so long like that. You know, like, yeah, his match with Darby was fantastic. I'll give him that. Like, he was most definitely, that was most definitely a 4.5, 5-star match. You know, but it wasn't, I think it's because he has that, I'm a good guy now and stuff like that. That he needs to stop doing the I care about the fans, I'm here for the fans, I'm here for the people. He needs to do that. Hey, I'm straight edge. He needs to do a WWE gimmick. There, I said it. WWE gimmick. There, I said it. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So, I don't want to talk about AEW right now. We'll probably get back to that later. But now we're going to take another little break here, like I did the last time. Probably going to promote my Instagram again. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, yeah. By the way, you know what? Screw that. I'm just going to do it now. Go follow me on Instagram. You know, it's the, let me pull it up on my phone here. It is the BPWT_podcast. Big Pro WrestleTalk podcast with me, Vincent Zarndt, you know? You should most definitely go follow on Instagram. And like I said before, go follow the Coming Down the Aisle podcast. That man is awesome. So, yeah, we're going to take a small 30-second little break for myself so I can refresh myself, I guess you could say. Probably finish this Pepsi Zero I have right here with me. Not sponsored, by the way. Just thought I'd say. It's just a very good beverage. So, yeah. Okay, we are back here now with the Big Pro WrestleTalk podcast with me, your host, Vincent Zarndt. And now, I just want to talk a little bit about some positives, I guess you could say, about WWE currently. They've been doing a great job lately, I guess you could say. Like, I know people are going to be like, oh, WWE has been terrible. They don't listen to their fans. They don't do this, that, and the other. And Marks, stop it. That is all I got to say about that. WWE has been doing great. I'd say, like, the Raw. Oh, Monday Night Raw. Where did you go wrong lately? SmackDown has been awesome. I'll give it to WWE. SmackDown's been awesome. I want to talk about, like, because Nikki ASH, almost a superhero, formerly known as Nikki Cross, won the the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships with Rhea Ripley, and that is, that's, the tone of my voice says it all. Oh man, I'm getting a headache thinking about that. So I would not have booked that at all. What I would have had happen was have this build up for a few weeks, not have them just win it out of nowhere. Because that was really just an out of nowhere win for them to. Like, yeah, I've been watching Raw and seeing like all the other beat the women's tag team champions like Natalya and Tamina, but man, I wish they did more with Tamina and Natalya as a team, because that's an awesome team when you think about it. Like, knowing the family history that each of those, like, each female has there, like each of those women's wrestlers have there, it's just mind-blowing to me that they didn't do more with them. You know, like, I know Natalya got hurt, but they could have done stuff with them when she wasn't hurt, you know? Sorry, I had a burp. But see, here's how I would have done it. And I know this might raise a few eyebrows, but what I would have done was have Nikki lose a few times maybe, and then Rhea Ripley's like, hey, you gotta stop the family-friendly bullcrap. You gotta get to your inner evil and stuff. And then out comes Nikki Cross, and then have Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley, that badass team, like, get together, and they would just the Twisted Sister Nikki Cross. Come on now, that would be awesome if Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley won those titles like that. Because think about it, they are two very different characters as a team right now. And yeah, I understand, like, they've got to do the pediatric cancer. Like, I support that. I'm doing the V right now with my hands. I support that 100%. But they need to not do Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. They got to do Nikki, the Twisted Sister Cross, and Rhea Ripley if they're going to go down that route. Because Rhea Ripley is, like, she's a dark character. I don't want to say she's an emo girl, but she's definitely got that goth girl qualities. You know, I'm not saying I'm just going to stop talking about that because I'm starting to get into the wrong conversation, and this is about pro wrestling. Stick to pro wrestling. But yeah, think of it, like, I don't like that. You know, like, that's how I would book it anyways. Like, have Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley, not Nikki ASH, almost a superhero, or AHS, as Sonya Deville put it. But hey, you know what? They're doing something. They have some form of an idea of what they're doing. So I mean, that's WWE. You know, like, you gotta see what they do with it. Like putting Big E on SmackDown and New Day, and like the rest of the New Day on Raw. I'll say it, without the New Day, Kofi Kingston would not be in the WWE right now. We would have never been WWE champion, because Kofi Kingston's career into like 2014, 15-ish was going into pooper, unfortunately. Like, they did their team with like R-Truth and Evan Bourne in like early 2010s-ish. But I don't know, Kofi Kingston would not have survived if he was around like by himself today. Like, I really think having Big E and Xavier Woods in his corner like really boosted his career. I think anybody could agree with that. But thinking about like AEW, not AEW. I'm not talking about AEW anymore, Vincent. No AEW talk right now. But I want to talk about them. They're just so good. I'm a mark, man. I'm a mark. But yeah, WWE is. a good place for Kofi Kingston. I could not see him go anywhere else. He probably would have stopped wrestling if he had gotten fired back in 2014, 15-ish, whenever the New Day started. But, I don't know. I can't even put the words together in my mouth right now because it's see, like, I want to say it's good because I've been watching WWE since I was a kid. Like I said, like in the very beginning of this podcast, I've been watching WWE for a long time. I'm 18 years old, almost 19 in December, and here I am talking about how great AEW is and how good WWE has been. I'm not gonna say WWE's. I'm not saying WWE's great. I won't say that, but AEW is pretty good. I don't want to say they're better because I think they're no WWE, but WWE has that factor of like, yeah, we've had The Undertaker, we've created guys like The Undertaker, Andre the Giant, bro. Like, hey, but the thing is, if Undertaker started this gimmick, like say like The Undertaker was not around in the late 90s, early 2000s stuff, The Undertaker would not survive. That character would not survive today. I'm thinking about like when Killer Cross, showed up on Monday Night Raw with like the war, whatever that outfit was that he's wearing on Raw. But I like it. I'll say that I like it. I like Karrion Kross's new character and stuff. Ooh, excuse me. But I don't know. They need to put Scarlett with him because I think that's what made him so great in NXT is because he had that. Like, yeah, his promos were kind of bad, I guess you could say, but I think Scarlett being there, it really showed him like yeah, I'm a big guy. I'm a tough guy. You know, like, that really gave that factor in there for me. But, yeah, Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, I like what they're doing with him, if I'm being honest with you. Like, they're doing their feuds with John Morrison and stuff. John Morrison, oh gosh. I remember when he returned in the beginning of 2020, I was just like, oh my gosh, John Morrison. I was at my grandma's house when he returned, actually. But I just wish they would give him title opportunities, stuff like that's another thing. Like everybody's like, oh, well, you always give these new guys opportunity, or like you never always give these old guys or you always give the old guys the championship. And I'm just like, there's reasons behind it. Like, yeah, the Saudi Arabia shows maybe a reason, a not good reason, but like when Goldberg beat The Fiend. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about that because I'm sitting here almost tearing up thinking about Bray Wyatt not even being in WWE anymore because, oh my gosh, Bray Wyatt was my favorite character throughout the pandemic era, like throughout the Thunderdome era and stuff because they were able to do the Funhouse match. People thought the Funhouse match was cringe, but I loved it. I'm sorry for headphone users, but I loved the Funhouse match. I loved it so much that I was entertained. I'll give it to WWE. I was entertained. I loved it. I love seeing like the history behind John Cena's career and stuff throughout the match. And it was interesting. Like they got the fist there. They got Cena in his old gear. I haven't bought the rest of the Legends figure that they had for that set, like for that match, like that it came with the Vince McMahon puppet and stuff. Like, Bray Wyatt was my favorite character throughout 2019 and 2020. It's just crazy thinking about, like, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend wasn't even around for that long. Because throughout most of this year, 2021, he wasn't even on screen. He was only there for WrestleMania this year, and that was it. Like, we never saw Bray Wyatt. We're probably never going to see Bray Wyatt again, because I don't think Bray Wyatt is ever going to go back to WWE. Because there's so much more opportunity out there now. And that's another thing right now I just want to get into. So there's the Cult of Wyndham that Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, is teasing on Twitter, Instagram, all his social media. I think what that is going to be is a revamped Wyatt family. And I think they're going to have Eric Redbeard, Adam Scherr, a.k.a. Braun Strowman, or Titan, as the rumors are going around saying that Braun Strowman is going to be Titan. I think they don't even need to go to AEW. I think they can go to Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and that gimmick would be awesome. It would just be awesome seeing a Wyatt family type thing. Or maybe even have... That's another thing. They need to stop saying that every dark character that gets released from WWE, they're not going to be the leader of the Dark Order now that Brody's dead. Stop saying that! Because though it would be cool to see Bray Wyatt run the Dark Order, especially because there's the history between Brody and Wyndham. There's like they were like best friends and all that. I think they should try to separate Brody Lee from the Wyatts as a whole, or maybe even like do something. I don't know. I don't know. See, this is why I don't run wrestling shows or anything like that. See, the only federations I run is my figure fed when I was like 13. And yes, that's right. I played with wrestling figures at 13. Sue me. Shoot, I'm 18 and I sometimes will take them off my shelf at home and start to have people beat the heck out of each other. Like I literally brought like 20 of my wrestling figures with me to college. They're actually like right next to me. I made a Bray Wyatt custom. I'm not even gonna get into that right now because I'm gonna do a whole episode on that in the future about wrestling figures and stuff. But I think like WWE, like with Bray Wyatt, they really dropped the ball on him. But they didn't know what to do with him. And if I'm being honest with you, since I don't want to say they killed the character with Rollins because they didn't necessarily kill the character with Rollins doing that crap at Hell in the Cell with him. Like, it would be a disqualification in Hell in the Cell. Like, come on now. That's bonkers, bro. Like, that is one thing I'll always be mad at WWE about, is basically, like, they didn't kill the character, because the Fiend character was very much still there. Like, it still had that cool factor of, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see Bray Wyatt. Like, oh my God, like at WrestleMania. Like, I think that's got to be cool for Bray Wyatt to have his last match be at WrestleMania. It's like, same with Gallows and Anderson last year at WrestleMania. They main evented, they were a part of the main event at night one of WrestleMania last year. The same night that, I don't know if it was the same night or not. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know like the Funhouse match was the next night because they had the main event be the first. Yeah, the Boneyard match was main event of night one last year. Not this past year, but the year before. So, like, it's awesome to me seeing that, like, Bray Wyatt had his last match at WrestleMania against Randy Orton. Like, yeah, he may have lost, but dude, that really made Alexa Bliss's new character, really get a kickstart. And, like, I'll say, even though they gave the entire gimmick to Alexa Bliss, I think they're doing a fantastic job with it. I love how they're making Alexa Bliss look like she's a dominant female again. Like, see, like, yeah, I loved the stuff that she was doing before because, oh my gosh, it's Alexa Bliss. She's so hot. I mean, such a great wrestler. But I think she's doing fantastic. She's doing what she's being told to do, and that's awesome. And I think that, and it's not like she hasn't taken full, like she was not at all saying that this was her idea. She was like thanking Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, when he got fired and stuff, because without that character of the Fiend, Alexa Bliss right now would not be the Alexa Bliss that she is right now. And that's awesome. I love it. I'm just very happy that she's thanking Bray and not just taking all the credit for herself, because without Bray, she would not be where she is right now. She would not have this women's title match on Extreme Rules this Sunday, which I'm thinking about doing a live stream of pay-per-views and stuff in the future, but I don't know. I got to see how it goes. So yeah, let's see how things roll out. So thinking about these pay-per-views and stuff, like, yeah, WWE, like, sometimes they're just not good. I'll say that WWE pay-per-views are not good sometimes. You know, like, I think of like this past, what was the pay-per-view? SummerSlam? Like, yeah, SummerSlam was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the little shocks, like they had Becky Lynch come out and stuff and beat Bianca. But, like, that was cool. You know, like seeing Edge come out in his Brood stuff, that was pretty cool. But I don't know. Maybe. See, that'll be on the Instagram if you go follow it. The BPWT_podcast on Instagram. Go follow right now if you want to. But yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a future conversation. We're going to move on. So, now, while still on the topic of WWE, I want to talk NXT 2.0. So, NXT, I think it needed this revamp, even though technically it's 3.0 because the 2.0 was kind of what Triple H did with it. And yeah, so NXT 2.0 was fantastic. I love the guys like Braun Breaker, Scott, whatever, Steiner's nephew, Scott Steiner's son. So I could tell with his promo this past week that he's been going to the Uncle Scott's promo classes. But I think, hey, you know what? I love it. I love the guys who, what were their names? Like in the breakout tournament, the finals, the big African-American fella. I loved him. I loved seeing him wrestle. Like that dude, he is the future. He is, oh my gosh, I love what NXT 2.0 is, because the last time something like this happened was when OVW, when John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, all those guys came in when the Ruthless Aggression era started, and that really brought WWE back to the top because they were starting to lose viewers because the Attitude Era was over and nobody wanted to see all these guys from WCW who were not really exciting like Goldberg and Sting, because they were not, the Goldberg and Sting, they weren't signed with WCW. They were signed with Turner Television, and that's where AEW is doing it right, because they're not signing them to a specific station. They're signing them to AEW, All Elite Wrestling. So, I'm sorry. It's just so awesome. This is just a great feeling knowing that I'm starting this podcast and sharing my thoughts about wrestling and stuff. This is just amazing. Thank you all for tuning in if you're listening. But, and like saying again, like NXT 2.0, it could be like for all we know, like all these guys that they're building up, like on NXT, like shoot, we may not know him. We didn't know John Cena. We didn't know Deacon Batista. Deacon Batista. We didn't know who the heck he was. Randy Orton, son of Bob Orton. That's probably all we knew about him. But yeah, NXT 2.0, it's great. I loved the wedding that they did 2 weeks ago. Dexter Lumis, you know, oh my gosh, I love Dexter Lumis so much. He didn't talk. He only talked once. He spoke once, and then he held an axe to Pete. Like, he didn't hold an axe. He threatened him with an axe if anybody said that they didn't want this to happen. It's wedding to happen, but hey, you know, kudos to NXT, kudos to WWE. They're doing fantastic, I'll say. I'll give it to WWE. Like NXT has been good. I haven't watched NXT, I think, since Undisputed Era broke up, because NXT just kind of lost my interest, if I'm being honest with you. But then, like, watching 2.0, it was like, this is cool. You know, I like it. I love the new designs. I love the colorful feel. Like, people are like, oh yeah, Nickelodeon, ha ha ha. But like, dude, I love it. It's doing fantastic. It's doing such a great job. You know, like, there's nothing really that I can complain about. Like, they're building up, like they put, like, yeah, like that's something else. Like, they're not taking all these indie guys and just making them the top dogs like they did with like Undisputed Era and like when Drew McIntyre came back too in NXT. Like, they're not putting them immediately at the top. They're making them work their way up, and that's what I love what NXT is doing with all these new guys. You know, because all these guys are like, we don't know who the heck they are, but hey, they got something. They're in WWE. So, like I said, everything in WWE is there for a reason. NXT 2.0 has been fantastic. Honestly, I think if this happened when AEW was starting, I think that AEW would have not been as, like, I don't want to say they wouldn't have been as successful, because AEW is going to be a success no matter what, because people are like, oh yeah, an alternative. All right, competition and stuff, you know? So, like, yeah, that's 2.0 was, it's interesting. I love it. I love seeing like what they are going to do with it. I just hope they don't get new titles or anything, because I love the title designs. Like, I love the Diamond Mine. Oh my gosh, Malcolm Bivens and the Diamond Mine, bro. That's an awesome team. I love that faction. I love it so much. And the thing is like, the only person who was like already there was like Malcolm Bivens. He was already there with as a manager. He was with the guys who are with Jinder Mahal now on Raw. But Malcolm, like, getting Roderick Strong, who we thought, honestly, because I heard like, oh yeah, Roderick Strong is like not in NXT anymore. I was like, interesting. Where are they going to go with this? But everybody knew he was still signed and stuff. But hey, here they are now, top of the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. And oh my gosh, please get rid of 205 Live or call it NXT Main Event or NXT Superstars or something like that. You know, like, because they had women wrestling on it. Like, yeah, of course they're under 205 pounds. But hey, you know what, WWE, like I said, they're doing great for themselves, I say. So, yeah. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to end it there. Because this was kind of like an out of the blue, just kind of like, okay, let's wing this. Let's try this out. Like, this is, you guys let me know how I do this podcast, like how I did with this first episode. Next week, I'm going to post some information on Instagram on what the next podcast is going to be about. So feel free to follow me on Instagram. Again, at BPWT _podcast on Instagram. So thank you all for tuning in. Next episode will be next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time here, like I have this one. This is going to be premiered on YouTube only. I'm not on any other platform. So thank you all for watching. A big shout out to Coming Down the Aisle podcast once more. Go listen to his podcast on Spotify and other places, wherever he posts them. You can follow him on Instagram. So thank you all for tuning in. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I am out.